All right. Welcome to the Around the Ballpark podcast, episode number 85. That's just a good number. 85 is a good number. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Mike Redman alongside Darren Redman, and you are watching the Around the Ballpark podcast. If you meant to click on something else and you wound up here, that's okay. Stay with us. You'll enjoy what we do, I hope. But Darren, how are you? It is June 1st already. Like, that's crazy to me. I know it's like an old thing to say, or like it's like, but really, like, how is it June 1st already? That's crazy.
I have no idea. It's flying by.
It is completely flying by, and I'm just going to make sure real fast that we have we're up on Facebook and YouTube. I want to make sure that everybody's seeing this on X as well. So I'm going to do that real quick. X hits the spot. We are, and I know Chris, I believe, is watching with us too. So good to have him, of course. But we want tonight's episode is going to be fun, guys. We don't have a special guest on. We are the guest. We're going to talk about all different sorts of fun stuff. But as always, we always first and foremost give a shout out to our sponsors over at Nashville Tax Solutions. He just had his big event in Tennessee last week with
we have to have him on and tell us all about it. He's got to come on and tell us all about it.
Yes, if you're on, Chris, go ahead and put us in the comments. Put that in the comments. We'll definitely want to share that. But Darren, if you wouldn't mind sharing the super good folks over at Nashville Tax Solution. They also posted a really cool team photo too. Just awesome to see such a large team working together.
Well, that's what it's about, right? Fort Pierce, Palm Bay, are tax problems weighing you down? Are you behind on filings? Are you facing a lien? Because Nashville Tax Solutions is here with expertise and dedication that you need. Their experienced and knowledgeable team handles the IRS, so you do not have to. But don't just hear it from us. Hear what some clients have had to say. Chris Bennett and his team turned a nightmare into peace of mind. They're sharp, they're honest, and they truly care. So don't let tax stress take over your life. Call 855-627-4829. Visit NashvilleTaxSolutions.com or email info@NashvilleTaxSolutions.com today. Nashville Tax Solutions, real help, real results, and a longtime advocate and friend of the Around the Ballpark podcast.
Thank you, Darren. And we are live on all the platforms. And wanted to, before I give a shout out to Christopher Bennett a little bit more, I do want to show you guys at the bottom of the screen, you'll see on the tab there, it says we just hit 2,200 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. Wow. Super, super cool. It's actually 2,204 now, so we're growing. Thank you so much. That is an awesome number in such a short time, just over a year doing this. So we see 9 of you online right now across the different platforms. So thank you. Please continue to share. You know the drill. Share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Turn the notifications on. That's like probably the most important thing. Everybody always says share and like, but notifications aren't on, then you're not going to know that we're live. So please do that. So tonight's going to be fun, y'all. It always is. But tonight it's like a round table of like so many different topics that we're going to talk about. Before we talk about like sporty stuff and all that stuff, I want to ask you, so I know you've been to the theater a lot this week. We went finally for the first time in like 7 months the other day. So we went and saw Mission Impossible 8. And I believe that most recently you saw Lilo and Stitch. So I want to ask you first, before I go into Mission Impossible, what did you think of Lilo and Stitch, that whole experience, compared to what we thought it might be in our preview?
So here's the deal. I'm sort of leaning into this head of trying not to compare the animation, the cartoon, for lack of a better term, with the live action, but you can't help it. What score did I originally give it? A 3, I think, around there, a 4?
3.5. Yeah.
3.5. So I definitely give it more than that. I give it a solid 5. And I have to tell you, the worst part of the, I'm going to unpack try to do without spoilers. So the people that play the nemesis, the bad guys, for lack of a better term, it was like goofy. It was like, for me, that wasn't the movie. The real wonderful, poignant movie really was Nani and Lilo, the relationship that they had. And there were some people that gave a little shade, a little negativity. Nani's role in this, that it wasn't true to the original and this and that, but it was wonderful. I mean, first of all, the actor was wonderful. They both were. But this whole sisterhood that you're going to get and this Hawaiian culture overlay, I almost found for me, and I found Stitch to be distracting. Like that, I didn't want to watch any of that. Like, unless
really? The Stitch part was distracting. Okay.
Yeah, like that's good for the kids, but the relationship between, siblings, when one has a choice to make about whether pursuing, her lifelong dream or staying to watch her sister, I found that really compelling in a way that you don't find in the original, in the animation.
So it bumped it up almost 2 points almost from based on the action alone, which is great.
So it was enjoyable. You're going to want to take the kids. Kids are going to love it. But yeah, and then I know we spoke the other night about the Karate Kid. I saw that too. I found that so much fun.
So now, when you see a movie like Lilo and Stitch, do you have to decide, okay, what time of day? Because if you go Sunday morning at 10 o'clock, you're going to compete with all the tiny ones everywhere. But if you see
that's when I went. That's exactly when I went to church. I did the Michael Redmond recommendation. I went from church straight there.
That's awesome.
It was no fault.
So we saw Mission Impossible yesterday, first movie in 7 months. So I'm hoping we can make this a little bit more regular now that the summer movies are coming out and all that. And so first and foremost, it was 2 hours and 50 minutes long and did not feel any bit of that. I mean, it felt like a little over 2 hours, but definitely didn't, like, no disrespect to the Lord of the Ring movies, stuff like that, but that's just not my thing. But 3 hours of that feels a lot different than 3 hours of this, I would say. So I went into this movie just buying the tickets and a small drink. And I forgot, because I have only seen the original Mission Impossible. So I forgot, in an action movie, it's hard to sit there with just your hands watching an action movie without having popcorn to just.
No, you got to do that. Yeah, you got to do the whole thing.
So I tried to find a part of the movie where I was like, okay, if I make this quick, I can be back in time to enjoy the popcorn and not miss anything substantial. So I sprinted to the lobby. And I got the really big one because it was only $1 more than the tiny one. I figured Eileen's going to want some. The small bag makes so much noise and wrinkles. So I was like, let me just get the big tub. And if I don't finish it all, whatever. So I'm glad I did, because I just, especially in an action movie, need some popcorn. And so I'm not going to give away too much. But one of the things that I want to say is there was so much going on in the movie with the lead Ethan, right? But I feel like the rest of the cast wasn't given enough to do in the movie.
Wow, I like that.
Obviously there's a couple people, but like he was such a star, which is great, but like there was so much untapped talent or untapped potential in the supporting actors, I think. And I feel like if they were given a little bit more, like they were just there almost, Now, we have to suspend disbelief sometimes. Obviously, I'm not going to give away, but some of the scenes mid-air for long periods of time, I'm talking about like the backflips in the air and the, shout out to whatever planes can just stay in the air like that without anyone piloting and not going straight down. So you have to suspend a lot of disbelief there, but really kept my interest. And what I liked about it was that yes, if you saw the other movies, it's important, but you didn't have to see this one. If you didn't see anything, you still would have enjoyed it. Did you kind of feel that too?
No, I think you're 100%. And it's so funny how suspending disbelief. Now, I can talk about this because it's in the trailers. But you mentioned about the levitating planes. How about, the Hey, you know what? I'm just going to take off my scuba suit, and I'm not going to freeze to death instantaneously. You know, you know.
Yes.
But it works because you have to suspend belief. It's very funny. Though I did want to ask you this, because I know this happened. The minute they take masks off, I always want to say, I would have got away with this too if it wasn't for Scooby and those wacky kids.
That's clever. If you're going into a movie, and we'll talk more, we're actually going to be doing, my wife and I, Eileen and I, are going to be doing a full recap tomorrow on the channel, Redmond Recap. So keep an eye out for that.
I must watch.
But I think if you're going into this movie, you have to understand that, that can never happen. Like, you cannot say those words in this type of movie, obviously. So enjoy it for what it is. And it's edge of the seat. Now, we did have the couple next to us. The couple next to us, or actually it might not have been a couple, but she was that kind of person that would shout out words like, "Oh, no, you didn't. Oh, he did," like the entire time. And so it's very distracting. Every time you're trying to get into it, she would shout some other words out. So we'll go into a little bit more of that tomorrow. But, that was interesting. So, but I'm glad you got to see Karate Kid as well. We actually had 4 movies on the radar, and it was based on we had Eileen didn't want me to do it, but I picked a wheel of names and I put all the 4 movies that were.
I love that. That's the best way to do it.
It landed on Mission Impossible, so we got there in plenty of time. I think all 4 movies started around the same exact time, which was kind of cool. So, but yeah, she was ridiculous. She really was. And then her children came and started talking to her mid-movie, and the row behind us was like, "Hey, sit down," shouting. So I just thought that was funny.
I thought what was funny was the fact that because let's face it, right? I'm the most boring person in the world. So when I was leaving church, and the reason I left was because it was over. Because if I stayed, I look weird. And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna pull a Mike." Mike advocated going to the 10 o'clock theater, 10 o'clock showing. So that's exactly what I did.
Yeah. Now, but see now, if you're going, I would say if you're seeing a scary movie, it's not still out by us, but if you're going to see the chainsaw or the clown in the cornfield, if you were seeing that on 10 o'clock, then the benefit of that is, well, number one, it's not dark out. And then number 2, you don't have to worry about the teenagers screaming at every door shutting, that it's the end of the world, So it really kind of depends on what genre you're seeing.
But you get, at least I do, right? I get fulfilled and re-energized when I go to church. And then I come out, and I'm sorry to sound like an emotional slob for a second, but when I see these families, and whether it's single moms or single dads or grandparents or caretakers or whatever, and the little kids are holding little stitched, they're stuffed animals or Lelos, and it was just wonderful. It's just nice to see. And by the way, the same thing happened if you saw my review of Karate Kid. People going to the movies dressing their gis, that was wonderful to see. It's great.
That's awesome. And there's so much more good stuff coming out. So we're just really scratching the surface of what's to come. And there's going to be some duds in there, as we've talked about on our sport reviews.
And there have been.
Yeah, there have definitely been the duds. And just another quick shout out, guys. We are at 17 viewers right now, mostly all on X. So thank you guys for participating. If you're here, let us know you're here. So that way we can say hi and thank you. So we have so much in the sport realm to talk about here in these last 40 minutes, whatever you want to say. So I want to start with the big, one of the biggest things is this week, the NBA finals are now set. So we have the Indiana Pacers taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Unfortunately, the New York Knicks didn't come through. On Monday Night Raw, the 2 commentators, one, Pat McAfee's a big Pacer fan, and Michael Cole is a big fan of the Knicks. So they each had a certain thing where on Monday night's show, depending on the winner, So Michael Cole, because his team lost, has to wear a tank top the entire time. And those that know Michael Cole, he does not have the body at all for a tank top. So this is going to be kind of hilarious to see friendly competition. But your thoughts on the series? I know it didn't go the Knicks' way, like I mentioned. And it may not be the most attractive game on paper, but I think it's going to be exciting. I did get to watch a little bit of Game 5. And so your thoughts on how that all shaped out and what to expect in the finals?
Well, the Knicks will rue the day, unfortunately, that they let the first game get away. Now, again, you say, well, the Pacers came back. Yes. So, it's 6-1, half does the other. But when you're up by 20-something points and you have always come back yourself from that, you should do a better job, especially at home, closing it out. I also know that I want to be very measured the way I talk about this. I'll never blame the officials for a loss because patterns develop. But the way that these games were called, the Knicks had to adjust to a certain way. When you see one official who is like the Knicks are 0-9 when he refs, you have to be careful. That doesn't take anything away from what the Pacers did. Nothing. I think Halliburton will learn that when he gets shut down in this next series, and he will, that talk is cheap. Win with grace and dignity, and he's got an area of opportunity to grow, but the Knicks got to win. Knicks and Pacers don't like it.
Yeah. No. Well said.
It was just what it is. So it's going to be OKC's going to win. It's going to be boring, and we move on.
Yeah, I feel like this says 4-1 all over it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It feels like
really
Indiana will get 1-1.
Perfect. Mm-hmm.
But that's what I'm thinking. So not only was it the NBA finals that were finalized this week, but the NHL, the Stanley Cup, as well as set, and a deja vu. It's 2024 all over again. The Edmonton Oilers, and we had Oil and White podcast on with us on the show. We also had Mike Clark, season ticket holder for the Florida Panthers, on the show. So it's both of our hockey guests and Stanley Cups. I believe that series kicks off on Wednesday or Thursday of this week. I think it's Wednesday. Wednesday. Yeah. So how do you see this one playing out? It's going to be exciting. What's your thoughts?
It's going to be two of the two best teams in NHL. I think, and that's why it's a rematch. My son, who knows hockey more than me, he is adamant about the fact that Edmonton will win. I think they have the better players, but I think Florida is the better team, and I think Florida repeats. But it's going to go 7.
Yep. Yes, I think so too. I think I would be surprised if Florida jumps out to a 2-0 lead, but then I'll see Edmonton get back, and they might even win 3 straight. But Florida is the kind of team that can be down 3-2 and win the last 2.
Exactly.
They're that talented. So I'm going to go ahead and say that I agree with you. And I think Florida Panthers win the Stanley Cup 3rd year in a row, 2nd year that they would win the Stanley Cup, a 3rd year appearance in a row. And I think even though it's a repeat of last year, a lot of teams stepped up this year. There was they weren't even. I could be wrong, but I don't think either team was not the 1st or even the 2nd seed in their conference. Nope. So overall, it's not just same old thing again. Like they had to earn their stripes together.
Oh no, yeah, and they got hot when they had to, and that's why they're the 2 best teams. I think.
Yep. So what I want to,
I was just going to say, you can't get to the finals in NHL by luck. You got to be really good.
You got to be really good. Yes. So it'll be exciting. We'll talk about that a little bit more on Thursday, I'm sure, after, and see how things go. That'll be next when we are live this Thursday night. 8:30 is our Thursday time. So in the baseball world, Darren, so on June 4th, that is officially when the Major League All-Star ballot will be open. So that's the earliest that you can vote to be an All-Star or for the All-Stars is Thursday. So I thought it'd be fun and I have a screen pulled up here, to just give your early American League All-Star pick from what you've seen so far. Obviously, they have another month to play before the game, actually a little bit over a month. But as far as the voting, I think they have till the end of June. So this isn't like, ESPN where they're doing 55 mock drafts. We're going to do one preview of the American League All-Star pick. So I'm going to go position by position. And if you have a thought, first player that comes to mind who you think it's going to be. Now, keep in mind, a lot of this, unfortunately, sometimes it's the bigger name and the jersey that they're wearing. Like somebody might be out for 2 months, and if they're on the Yankees, they're going to get in. So I'm asking for legit earn their stripes at their position. So we're focusing today on just the on-field, the batting, the hitters for the American League. So we're not going to dive into the National League just yet. So starting at the catcher position, I feel like this is a position that's, as easy as it can get. There's really no competition here. What one gentleman from Seattle Mariners is doing is unheard of.
It's him.
And it's Cal Raleigh. I saw him in 2 games in the series in Cincinnati when I went, and I think he hit 2 home runs just in those 2 games I was there. Cal Raleigh, batting .264, 10 doubles, 23 home runs, 45 RBIs. He is having a monster season. So there's really there's a couple other good, Logan O'Hopp's doing okay, but he's the guy. And that sounds like you agree with me there.
100%
on that one. So here's a fun one. So moving to first base. Okay, so in the first base, you have some bigger names, of course, like that. But it's tough because some guys are doing really well on the home run side, but their average is a little bit low. So you can make a case for several. So before I throw my kind of vote in there, do you have anyone that jumps off the page at you for first base, or do you want me to kind of go over some stats and stuff?
Well, I love your stats. I really do. But I would say, look, I like the veteran at first base. I'm a National League guy, as you know, but you throw roses at American League. I just love baseball. But so I like what Paul Goldschmidt is doing right now. He's my choice.
So your guy is Paul Goldschmidt. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy that I am looking at here, and I want to, and it's not just on stats, but so there's guys like Jonathan Aranda in Tampa Bay who's having an awesome year. Not a ton of home runs, but his batting average is really high, so he's doing really, really well. I do like Goldschmidt. I think he's right up there as well for me. The guy I'm going to go with here is Spencer Torkelson from Detroit. Batting average could be a little bit better, but I really like his production. And, in the middle of that order, 42 RBIs. So that's my guy for first base, but it's pretty close. It's not like a runaway, I believe, in that position. So moving on to second base. This is you kind of have to look a little deeper here. It's not as easy off the page on who the guy is there. Again, same as before. Some guys may be off the charts with home runs, but not so good with the average. So I'll go first at this position, and then you're free to jump in on your thoughts. So for me, there's no one that's jumping off the page for me here, but I'm going to go ahead and take Brandon Lau of Tampa Bay here in this spot. He is the leading home run with 11 in terms of position-wise in second base. There's a few people that are definitely in the discussion. Jackson Holliday is having a much better bounce-back year from what we thought. Jazz Chisholm, to me, is a little bit streaky for my liking, but and his batting average is really low. It's under the Mendoza line, so I didn't want to put him in the discussion.
And he's been injured.
Yeah. So it really came down to me between Dylan Moore and Brandon Lau. I'm going with Brandon Lau here. Your thoughts?
So, again, love the thought process behind it. One of 2 players who play for a team that is under 500 right now that I would give the nod to if the All-Star game was today. And plus, I live in Massachusetts, so I get to see them play a lot. And that would be Christian Campbell at second base.
Christian Campbell?
Yes.
Okay, from Boston. Yeah.
Yeah, good player.
Okay.
Very good player. Dependable, good range, gets things moving, gets on base, does what you need him to do.
Okay.
But you said it. You said also nobody's running away with it.
No, nobody is running away. Now this next one was very difficult for me. Shortstop. So going into the season, I would have told you it's between Gunnar Henderson and it's between Bobby Witt before they even play a game on the field, right? But they both had good years, but not great years. And there's been some other people that have really stepped up. And so this one, I was going back and forth. There's one other person as well. Going back and forth here, I was looking at the steals from Bobby Witt with 20 steals. He does have 6 home runs, 283 average is nice. But for me, which is surprising, I'm going to go outside the box there, which I know again, it's an automatic Bobby Witt selection from the ESPN vote getters and all that stuff. I'm going to go Jeremy Pena here with Houston, batting over 300 and 9 home runs, 30 RBIs. So I really like what I see there. Definitely this next month I could see Witt and Henderson making a better case. But if you're asking me right now, being impartial, Jeremy Pena is my guy. What are your thoughts?
My thoughts is I'm not a conspiracy guy. I like your choice, but it's going to be Witt because ESPN wants Witt for the last year that they're going to be on ESPN.
Yeah, it's going to be Witt. Yep. So I want to ask, I'm going to go to you first here. We're going to move on to third base. And so this one's tough. One of the lead vote getters, I'm sure Alex Bregman is out with an injury, so we're not sure how long. The whole situation with his other half there in Boston in terms of not wanting to play certain positions and frustrations and all that kind of stuff. So, but who is your guy here at third base? There's some interesting young names, some veterans in there. I have 3 that stand out, so I'm interested.
Let me hear yours because I'm thinking it will be Bregman injury, even though he has the injury. I think they'll find a way from the votes to get it.
You do?
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. For me, I'm going to disagree. I think he'll be the vote getter by the voters. Whether he'll get to play in it or not, I'm not sure. So I'm going to take this from my choice. I think he'll be one of those that just gets in because of the name.
Agreed.
To me, it's down between Junior Caminero, Jose Ramirez, and Isaac Paredes. I'm going to take in this spot here. I'm going to go with Jose Ramirez. Consistency is key, and what separates him from the rest is that 327 batting average. That just to me, that puts him over the top. So those other fun young names are nice, but I'm going to go with in this spot. I'm going to go with Ramirez there, third base. So now at designated hitter, that's an interesting position. That could be anybody. So we're not going to quote unquote pick someone. If you go on the MLB website, ESPN website, the only quote unquote designated hitter is Rafael Devers. He very well could get that spot. And in fact, I'm thinking that's going to be the guy. But we'll kind of pause on that because, again, typically it's like an extra person from the outfield or whatever. So when we do the outfield now, I want to do this by like position. So a lot of times, in the vote getting process, you can have 3 right fielders selected to the All-Star team. And I wish it wasn't like that. I wish it was legit left field, center field, right field. So we're going to do it the way I wish it was. And if it, again, it's probably not going to be that way. So let's start with left field. And if you're not quite sure off the cuff if they're a left fielder or not, I can kind of help out with that. But so starting with left field, is there someone that jumps off the page going to you first, or anyone that jumps off the page for you in that position?
Cleveland is having a wonderful year right now. And again, nobody super broke out. So I'm going to say Stephen Kwan.
Stephen Kwan. Okay. Good choice. I'm going with Taylor Ward from the Angels. This year's batting average is pretty low, but a lot of pop, but he seems to be the one that's standing out most to me. I do see where it could be others, but I'm going with Taylor Ward from the Angels for that spot. So I'll go first here, moving over to center field. This is interesting. I'm going with Trent Grisham from the Yankees here for my center fielder. Julio Rodriguez is there. Cedric Mullins is there. Another guy that's surprisingly doing pretty well, Javier Baez, kind of a little bit of a resurgence, but not quite all-star worthy. But so I'm going with Grisham.
At least he's not being, at least he's being useful out in the center field. I was surprised that it worked out.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts? I'm going with Trent Grisham. What's your thoughts?
Covers a lot of ground. Wyatt Langford in Texas.
Okay, in Texas. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. And our final position that we're going to look at is the right field position. So again, if you're going on a website and you're looking at this, you can sort by position or you can just pick outfield. But right field is like obviously the most. I mean, that's not even a discussion there. But obviously, it's Aaron Judge. 50 RBIs already, 21 home runs. So it is what it is.
Batting .398.
But yes, batting .398. So it's, I mean, come on. So that's our. I jotted those down, and so I will keep that. And so once the teams get selected, we'll compare what we just said to what is said, and we'll have some fun with that. So keep an eye out for the National League picks in a future episode to come.
So let's unpack something, both American and National League. How do you feel about the fact that every team needs to be represented with a player?
I'm good with it. I know.
Me too.
There's less battles I could fight, and I think it would be a disservice to not see your team's jersey represented. And I know the Colorado Rockies exist, right? But there's got to be somebody there worthy of that. And you got to, sometimes look, okay, if this pitcher was in any other park, they're pitching in Coors. So no, 100%, no problem with that. Now, if they don't get to play in the game, that's fine with it. I'm not going to, they could have.
I agree.
As long as there's just something about that visual and the start of the game. I almost enjoy the introductions more than the game sometimes. Like I just love seeing that because you have just the demeanors, and I enjoy it. And I love that Major League Baseball does that for the opening games too. I think that's really cool. Now, and I don't need to see about who the third assistant trainer for the, all that.
The clubhouse guy.
Yeah. Okay, let's see who the bullpen catchers are. But so that's I think.
Now, speaking of that, because I love tradition, and I'm not the old man yelling at clouds. I just love baseball. And I love that they finally woke up and they're getting away from those all-star uniforms and going back to wearing their jersey.
So excited for that.
Yeah, because you felt the pressure. When you were a Met fan and they were losing like 90 games a year, you waited for John Stearns to come out.
Right, because I feel like, and I feel like what would have been next would have been like City Connect, generic American League uniforms. So I'm glad that we're getting the legit, team.
Hey, why did they wear the 4 on their jerseys? On their jerseys today, I was wondering. Everybody wore the number 4 on their jerseys. I don't know why.
Number 4 in
everybody's jersey, had a number 4 on the front of their jerseys today. I don't know why.
I know that is. I don't know if that's the reason why, but I know. You know what? I think it was because of Lou Gehrig. Because he won.
That's exactly why. Yeah,
and it was awareness for ALS and all that stuff.
That's wonderful. Good call.
So, yes, Mike will put Lou Gehrig Day. Thank you, Mike, for keeping us informed. But yes, Lou Gehrig Day today and tomorrow. Okay,
nice.
We'll look out for that. So now let's talk a little bit of New York Mets, specifically. I want to talk about Juan Soto. But of course, the Mets swept the Rockies. Who doesn't? We'll talk about the Rockies in a little bit. But so we're now officially starting month number 3. And we've both been in agreement that it's okay to pause on the overreaction to lack of production from Juan Soto. It is now June 1st. Is it yet time to sound the alarm, to get a little bit upset, to be a little bit worried, or are we still in that calm down, folks, be patient? He did have a really good series compared to what he's been doing. So I want to get your thoughts on Juan Soto as of June 1st.
So he's definitely on an upswing, as we talk about. And I'm a big believer in the fact that, like water seeks its own level. You can't hold your breath forever. He's not really 26. He's really 107. You got abducted by aliens and taken to Venus. I mean, just relax. He'll be fine. And I really want to step, out of my comfort zone for a second. And I'm really proud of the Met fans. Like I did a video earlier today, not only for the fact that they showed up 41,000 on average against the Rockies. Right? It wasn't like they came, we're going to see the Dodgers. We're going to see the Giants. And we got to talk about Wilmer Flores just continues to rake. But he'll be fine, and he's getting some hits. Now, granted, even his home runs are kind of wall scratches, but you know what? They count. They'd be in the upper deck at Yankee Stadium. But Do you want to not have him? I mean, he makes it a lot stronger. It's going to be fine. Oh, you're talking about the first place Mets, by the way, who are now back in first place?
Back in first place, where they belong.
Yep.
Yes. Yep. So what I'll share is this. I think that the only time that I'm worried about Juan Soto is if we get to the playoffs and he doesn't take the bat off the shoulder or he doesn't get that clutch hit, because that's what we brought him in for. We didn't spend all that money to get a piece. We spent that money to get the guy. And so when the Mets are going to the playoffs, folks, spoiler alert, they're gonna go deep. I don't want to see a Carlos Beltran situation where he's standing there, takes straight three, casually walks off the field like da 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 da. That's when it matters. Yes, I think I touched a nerve there.
You did.
And Mike says he hopes he's heating up, but I believe he's back if he hits the Dodgers. What's kind of weird about the scheduling, at least for the Mets, is they play a team at home, and then 3 to 7 days later they're playing on the road. Like, it doesn't feel like it's always been like that. So, like, for example, because they're playing the Dodgers, who they just played at home, and then they're playing the Rockies, who they just played at home. So in 14 days, they're playing the same two teams. It's kind of strange how that's going down. But talk about an easy week for the Mets. I mean, like, hey, and the schedule makers couldn't have possibly. But going into the season, you get 6 home games consecutively against the White Sox and the Rockies. And what did I say on this podcast on Thursday? I said the Mets have to go 5-1. Yep. They went 5-1. When they lost Game 3 to the White Sox, I was like, okay, there's the one, because they're not losing a game against Colorado. Now, shout out to those. Let's go there next. Shout out to those Colorado Rocky fans, because they're still showing up at the games. Their team is now 9-50. It's the third slowest start in Major League Baseball history. But shout out to the fans for continuing to show up for a product that is terrible right now. And they're always going to be the underdog in every game. They're always going to struggle to score runs. They do pitch okay. There's some games, like if you look at that Colorado series, it was a lot of 3-1s and 2-1 losses. They don't have the offense consistently. I know Arcia's hit his first home run today, but yes, 9-50, Eileen. Yes, it is embarrassing. I mean, there's no, and the person to be embarrassed is ownership. They knew going in, okay, this is the kind of team
you called it. You said it. You said it when we did 30 clubs in 30 days. You mentioned how, forget about the White Sox, it is the Rockies. You're the one who said that. You hit it right on the head.
No, thanks for, that is true. I just felt like they did absolutely nothing to improve this club. In fact, one of the shining stars, guys like Nolan Jones, they shipped him off elsewhere. And so it's going to be rough. Honestly, at this stage of the game, I think 40 wins is out of the question for this team, which is embarrassing, but I don't think they can do it. I don't think they can get to 40. Show me where in the schedule they're going to get some wins. I don't know. But something's got to change. But again, shout out to the team for the fans for continuing to show up.
But what does that say? Like, right now they have the best, statistically speaking, the best relief pitching in the MLB. Let's say the NHL. They have the best relief pitching in baseball, but it means nothing. It shows you how when you just look at stats and you don't look at the whole game, the stats are almost meaningless. I mean, they got 9 wins.
They
got 9 wins. No, they do. Statistically, they're number 1.
That's interesting. Okay.
So what is that? I mean, so we got the number 1. You got 9 wins, and you played 59 games. That's not good. But it's interesting because
no, it's not good. But what's scary is, come trade deadline, the Rockies relief pitchers are going to be taken from them, just like a minor league team, single A, double A player, and they're going to get even worse. That's what's scary. Quick shout out at the beginning of this podcast, we mentioned that we just hit the 2,200 plateau, and we are now at 2,213. So that is an awesome group. So whether you're on X or Facebook or wherever you are, thank you for subscribing. That helps a lot. We really appreciate that. I didn't want to fail to mention that. So I wanted to talk next about the Tampa Bay Rays. So this is a team that was dead in the water 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. They really were just out of it. No offense. Everything was kind of just what it was. Great starting pitching, but they couldn't score a run. They made a move to call up Chandler Simpson from AAA. And this isn't a guy that's going to be the best defensive player in the world. This is a guy that, if you remember the guy from Cincinnati, he had like 140 stolen bases in the minor leagues. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he couldn't hit to save his life, and he just wound up not. This guy can get on base, and when he gets on base, he's not stealing just one base. He's trying to steal 2 bases. And so this guy, all of a sudden, even though he's not the home run guy, all of a sudden, the Rays' offensive numbers just went. Now, I know they got Josh Lau back and stuff, but all of a sudden, the Rays started scoring runs, and they started winning baseball games. And all of a sudden, it's 3 out of 4, 4 out of 5. They just had an 8 out of 9. They took 2 from 4 from Houston. I know they lost today, 1-0, but took 2 from 4 from Houston. So, in my opinion, that's the kind of guy that manufactures runs. It's not just one. Usually it's 2 or 3. Makes everybody else around him better. He's just got that hustle. So they had to make a tough decision. I don't know if you saw this, but they had to make a tough decision because one of their young players, Magnum, was back and ready to come back. And so they were looking at their roster and they said, okay, who are we sending down to make room for Magnum? They needed him in center field. So they looked around. Christopher Morel has been underperforming for them. Taylor Wall's not been performing great, but he's really good defensively. You're not going to send down a catcher. They had a couple other outfield pieces. They're not going to let them go. So what they do after a resurgence in offense and all that kind of stuff, they decided that the best move was to send Chandler Simpson back down to AAA and call up Magnum and do that. And now in the first 2 games, or the 2 out of 3 games since that move, they've lost 2-1 and 1-0. Now I'm not saying the rest of the offense, they have to step up. But if you're asking me that move, I think it's a bunch of that. That move is really going to bite them in the butt. And I feel like we'll see him back sooner than later. But the thing is, the guy like Jake is a great player, and he's going to get some hits and stuff like that. I know he got a big home run yesterday in the 13 or the 16-run win that they had, but he is not a guy that's going to make things happen like Chandler Simpson is. So I just feel like completely wrong choice. And if you look at any social media from Tampa Bay Rays, and it was a big fan. And Mangum, yes. Eileen says, I told you I'm not going to like him because if I do, they'll get rid of him. Yeah, and she started liking him, and then he's back in AAA. So I think it'll be a really quick stint in AAA. I think he'll be back. I don't know who's going to be sent down, but me personally, I know Christopher Morel is the big name or whatever, but I think it should be Tyler Walls or Christopher Morel that goes down. You need to have a guy like Simpson on your team. He's a difference maker. So have you got to see any of him?
Yeah, I have. I don't watch a bunch of the Tampa Bay games, but I do watch a few for a couple of reasons. One, I do like the team, and 2, I know you both like the team, so that means I like the team. I do want to say that they went on a winning streak after I wore my Tampa Bay jersey on this program, just saying, because I'm not saying that those things had anything to do with each other, but they did. No, I'm kidding. Look, Tampa is built on pitching. My opinion. Unpack for me, and I know Eileen's watching as well. And please type in. But I think the difference is the pitching. I mean, Sean McClanahan, great pitcher, right? I mean, talk to me about the pitching. The pitching this year is phenomenal. Look at today; they lost 1-0. They're not giving up.
So it's. I think number one, great question, and I mean, if you want to chime in, I think the best pitcher on that staff is. Taj Bradley, and he was given the 5 spot this year, which is kind of strange. So Taj Bradley today, he pitched, I think yesterday, 7 innings, or no, it was the other day before, but pitched 7 strong innings. Maybe it was even today. 1 hit, still gets the loss, unfortunately, but He pitched great. Then you have a guy like Shane Baz, who's just bringing it every single time. Zach Littell started off really bad this season. He's been lights out. He went 117 pitches, complete game. When's the last time a Tampa Bay Ray went past the 6th inning? And if you want to know that, just look at the guy in Los Angeles who I think he's injured again. But when he was with the Rays, no matter how good he was pitching, they would always pull him in the 6th. So look at Shane Baz. You look at Zach Littell and Taj Bradley. And then Ryan Pepio has been phenomenal lately. He started off with 4 shaky starts. He's been really, really good. Shane McClanahan, they're saying the earliest he's going to be back is late July, early August. He was already out all last year, so we're not sure what we're going to get from him. But just think about that. Like, that's a big piece to get right after
huge
the All-Star
piece.
break. So
because listen, you just want to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he'll be the difference.
Yep. Now, the Rays bullpen is sus. Eileen could tell you that. There's some people like Clevenger who the starting pitcher does all the work, 7 innings, scoreless ball. Clevenger just walks in there. Oh, yeah, look what I can do. Game-winning walk-off home run in 3 pitches. Like, so unfortunately, every team's got on with the Mets. It's Jose 2-run Buto. That's the guy I despise with a passion. It's the only Met I despise. But Clevenger has turned into that guy for Tampa Bay. You see him, you're like, oh, crap, something's going to happen. Kelly wasn't really on his game either the other day. But Eileen mentions that Josh Lowe is back. Brings a lot of heart to the team. Yes, definitely. His presence. And I like that they're batting him 7th in the lineup. They're not pushing him too high. But again, the other day, so the Rays make that move. They sent Chandler Simpson down. And I look at the lineup, and Brandon Lau and Josh Lau are not in the lineup. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay, the Mets, how many games this season combined? This is an honest, true question. Combined at the end of 2025, how many games will Lindor and Alonso sit out together?
8.
I think that's high. I think it's going to be 0 or 1. Yeah, like it's low.
No,
so
now what do I truly feel? Not that I'm lying, but I was just hedging high. Probably 6, 5.
6, yeah. But this is a regular thing, like 2 or 3 times a week. These guys are sitting, and I'm like, it's a head scratcher. It's like both of them have to sit the same game. Like, really? Like that's what we're doing here. And every time they do, they score 0 runs, and they're like, well, let's try it again. Like,
but I'm sorry. Continue.
No, it's just got to be frustrating as a Rays fan. But
think about how cyclical. First of all, think about how. Again, I says to no hubris. Wonderful. You're really only hearing this stuff here. How cyclical things are when we talk about the global view of baseball, right? So, what was the team we were talking about before?
The Colorado,
right? The Rockies, correct. And for example, since April 10th, the relief pitching has an ERA of 2.13, 2.13. All right. Now, what was the next team we just talked about? Tampa, and they need relief pitching. Just saying. Now, I reach out to you. Will Tampa make trades?
Yeah, Tampa Bay can make trades, but nothing's going to be like.
But could you imagine if Tampa gets 1 or 2 shutdown relievers from people who are going to sell, like the Rockies? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's something that may not even make the news. Like, or the
right.
You have to, you won't watch MLB Network or whatever and see it. You'll have to go to TampaBayRays.com, click on transactions, and go, oh, who's that guy? Like the Rockies, right. The Rays are all about finding that guy that no one's ever heard of, and let's make him a star. That's their caveat to success. Now they got their work cut out to catch the Yankees. Of course, Boston and Toronto has been playing really good ball lately. The last
but
few
you don't
days.
Need to catch as we talk about. You don't need to catch the Yankees.
You don't. You have to get in at least the 2nd seed. So they got to continue to put that foot on the gas. They're going to have a lot of road. The thing that Tampa Bay has going against them is a lot of road games coming up. They played, and they played better on the road than they have at home, which is kind of strange and silly. They still got the Mets series coming up. They still got the Dodgers coming up. They still got, there's going to be some tough series there. One guy too, as we're talking about Tampa Bay, now Junior Caminero is doing really, really well. We talked about it a little bit earlier when we were looking at our all-star people. He's doing very well at third base. But his counterpart, Jose Caballero, who doesn't play as often because of Tyler Walls, he should be in there every day. Like Eileen said, yeah, he's not as flashy as the other guys, but he's all heart and hustle every single time. And he doesn't get the time that Tyler Walls does because of Tyler Walls' defense. But Taylor Walls, he's batting like 211, 201. Like at some point, sacrifice a little defense for that offense, and Caballero finds a way to get on base. I like that you said that because he's someone I would have in my lineup 5 or 6 days a week. The fact that he can play shortstop or outfield or DH, like sign me up. He shouldn't be on the bench as much as he is. I do worry that come trade deadline, they're the kind of team that will get that relief pitching from Colorado and send a Caballero back into Colorado. And that's absolutely what we don't want to do. You got to have those guys off the bench. And I even hate saying that because he shouldn't be on the bench, but you can't if you're going to get Colorado relievers, you've got to send some minor league people for them because it'll be okay. The Rays know how to develop minor leaguers. So,
Mike, Eileen, do we have an update on the stadium situation with Tampa? And because it looks like things at Steinbrenner Stadium is going to field. It's going pretty well.
Yeah. So it's definitely going well, much better than it is in Sacramento. It seems.
Oh, yes. That's a disaster.
Yeah. But so to answer your question on that in terms of like how the stadium's looking and the production and all that kind of stuff. Honestly, if you're asking me like where I see that going and how the speed is and stuff like that, let me ask you this question. I know this is going to sound like way off left field, but do you watch SpongeBob at all? Have you watched SpongeBob? Okay.
Of course.
I feel like this is going to tie into the Tampa Bay Rays progress of Tropicana Field.
75 years later.
Yes, exactly.
See, I watch.
So that's the snail's pace that they're moving along with the stadium progress. It's not moving along at all. And I feel like they're getting comfy cozy where they are instead of like, it's kind of like that friend that you say you can sleep on the couch for a little bit, but then you got to get a real job and you got to be a big boy and you got to go live somewhere else. And instead of looking in the ads for a place to stay, they're unpacking extra bags, they're getting extra comfy cozy. I think that's what's going on right now is they're comfy cozy there and they're forgetting like it's about finding a permanent home.
Because
now,
they're charging premium prices for the tickets and parking, and they're getting away with it because they're playing well and there's a vibe there. So,
yeah,
we'll see.
And because they're saying they're playing opening day 26 at the Chop or the Trop, they might. I think the only way that happened is if they give them a month's worth of road games in April and then they start their first home game in May. Maybe that's how they can pull that off. Hopefully they do. Because they need their spot, and if it's just going to be there for a while and not an outside stadium, that's still better than the alternative. Although, it's kind of cool. Like sometimes I enjoy watching the highlights, and I'm like, that's why I love going to minor league games so much. I understand they're a major league team and everything like that, but sometimes it's kind of cool to watch. And the fact that I think all but 4 games has been a sellout. That's really, really good.
Which is totally different than what's going on. You mentioned it in Sacramento with athletics. That's just a disaster.
Yeah. Yep.
So listen, I know we got to go soon, but this is important since you brought up SpongeBob. You ready? Got a question?
It could be anything. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And anybody can type in and on any of the social media sites, SpongeBob, your favorite character that's not named SpongeBob, and why? Go.
And why go? Man, there's so many good ones. I feel I'm gonna go Patrick because I feel like I can relate to Patrick. I sometimes I just have those moments where I just kind of like space out and just like move about life, or just like how when we're driving sometimes and we're like, how did I get here? I've been driving for 17 minutes on the interstate,
Yep.
and I don't remember the last 17. So I think we all have a little bit of Patrick in us, and I think I have a little bit more than others. So I can relate with Patrick. But he's loyal. He's going to show up. He's dependable. But he's, sometimes he spaces out a little bit, and that's okay. So I'm going to go Patrick.
It's funny because when you develop characters, you can find little pieces of you in all of them. So I could find, a piece of me in Mr. Krabs for obvious reasons. But for pure enjoyment, I enjoy Plankton a lot, just because he's got that great voice. He should be doing opera. He should be, I will rule the world, But thank you, Eileen. You just took my punchline. But I find myself being Squidward, unfortunately. I just give me some peace and quiet. I want to listen to some good music, some classical music. I want to read a book. Shh. Just everybody shh.
Yes. Now, what I'm terrified of, Darren, though, is the movie trailer 2027 live action SpongeBob. I feel
it's going to be horrible.
So, yes. Who's going to be cast for the live action Sponge? That's what I want to know. But so hopefully that doesn't happen. And if you don't think it's going to happen, it will happen. It's got to, unfortunately. So this has been the fastest hour in podcasting. Like, how is it already 9:00? So we had a couple other items we'll postpone for our next one, and we'll have fun doing that. I found it funny and comical that on the NFL side, the only thing they're talking about is this marriage between Josh Allen and Haley Steinfeld that got more airtime than all the MLB highlights combined on last night's show. So that's
ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. Yes. And what was second? Was it the MLB? No. Second was about the birth of Dak Prescott's child. So that's awesome, a birth, but okay, can we put that on the NFL Network? Do we need to put that on the main source of Sports Hub that we go to every day? No, we do not. So,
nope.
But remember back in the day too when you would watch ESPN like 3 times so you wouldn't miss anything. Now it's like, nah, I'm good. So
no, I mean, it makes me sad. I mean, how far that network has fallen. I mean, the good news is if you ever want to watch door opening competitions, you'll see it on ESPN2. But it's just terrible. It is the LeBron James, anything that's culture, like you said, the wedding of 2 famous people. Can we just talk about sports, please? That'd be great. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Can we not have this sappy harp or piano music for that special story about something, I don't know, or just the nonsense. Top 10 plays, it's like a guy catching a foul ball. I mean, there's nothing big about it in his music. And can I have scores, please? Can we talk about the guy in Seattle with the catcher with 25 home runs? That would be great. It
just doesn't get covered at all, and that's so unfortunate. So,
how many people knew that Diaz he got out 30 people in a row before he gave up a hit today? How many people?
Yeah, it was that high. That's really, really sad. Yeah,
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Sorry to keep talking.
No.
ESPN gets me. He was so annoyed.
I want to make sure I have this before we let everybody go. I want to make sure I have the right information that I'm sharing.
Are you doing math? Are you doing math right now?
No, I don't do math. Math and me don't get along at all. It wouldn't be any good for anybody. So want to give you guys, just as we sign off here, just a shout out or a preview of what's to come. A lot of content coming your way. Tomorrow night, Eileen and I will be live for the first Redmond recap. We're going to review Mission Impossible 8. Things get blown up. There's a lot of action, a lot of fun stuff to talk about. So that'll be Monday. Thursday, Darren and I will be live here once again. We will be talking about something. We'll keep that under hush-hush. We may or may not have a guest, and if we don't, we have fun either way. So we'll be live Thursday. Friday night will be, for a short amount of time, will be a Money in the Bank preview, as that big pay-per-view is this Saturday night for the WWE. So we'll be a nice little live on Friday evening to talk about Money in the Bank. And a week from tonight, 8 o'clock, we're going to review Money in the Bank right here on this channel with @LoveWrestling from YouTube. If you follow them, they're a great bunch. I just ran into them, found them actually just about a week ago. Awesome team over there. And so we're going to have them on. That's going to be a lot of fun a week from tonight. So get your wrestling questions ready, your questions that you have about Money in the Bank and Worlds Collide. There's a lot of wrestling news going on. Their most popular guy that's not a champion today was released out of nowhere. The morale is really low right now. So we'll have to talk about that. So much to talk about. So make sure you subscribe and you turn your notifications on so you don't miss any of that great content coming out this week. So until next time, we'll see you around the ballpark.